We've been talking about net version and also the C++ version, component of the OMNeT++ simulation, sample simulation we have here. So the next thing to talk about would be how do we build it, how do we run it. So uh, the way we would do that would be to click here and go to build configuration and build all. But before that, we need to define one thing. I mean, we can build it. So once you're done with your project, you could simply just build it, and let me show you what would happen if the build was cleaned and then built again. So I would build all, and it would execute. So you don't have your executables anymore. Now it's starting to execute each one, and then you get that. So in this case, this is a case in which it makes the connection between the net file and the C++ file and checks for any type of compile errors. So the next thing though is here. So this is a very simple rudimentary OMNeT PPINI file or an initialization file. So what this does is it would just tell them that the network is simply a network. So the way you would create your INI file would be you would go here, go to initialization, and then for now, since we have that, let's make it try, and next, empty INI file, and then you would look for your network. So in my case, if you see here, my network is network itself. So I would look for network, and I would choose that. So remember that I have defined my network as a network, so the OMNeT knows that it contains a network inside it. So now that our build is finished, now it's ready to be run. But before being run, the run needs to be configured. So you see how I went to the run? You can also get to run configurations from here, which is, by the way, an Eclipse thing, not specific to OMNeT. So if you've used Eclipse, this is very familiar. But this part of OMNeT is not usual or not on every Eclipse. So when you run it, you can choose the executable, and you can choose the directory. By the way, the executable should be found. For example, if I wanted to run this one, for this it's this one. So this is our executables, right? And then the working directories are, of course, our working space. Our project folder, and then our INI. So this is the file. And also here I have general as the network selected. So if I had a different thing as well, then I would have used that. By the way, I would really encourage you to go and check out what you can do with the INI files. Like I could have modified the to the capacity, the capacity there. But for now, let's continue on this one. And I also have chosen to run multiple processes. But then there's this one important aspect of OMNeT that is amazing, which is you have two options. So this one would be a GUI interface. So you would see a GUI interface. And this one would be a CMD. So if you looked at my very first video, you've saw me run GUI, the GUI, and then also the CMD. So for now, let's run the GUI and hit run. So what this does is it would open a simulation window here. And by the way, it probably won't work at first start because at this stage, when it's doing simulation, now it's checking everything that's logical. So it checks for the gates that are being connected. It checks for the existing compounds and how connected they are, and how messages can pass between places. But also, after this stage, simulating you also can generate errors because if you're trying to send into a gate that's supposed to be an in gate but an out gate, or if you connected something weirdly, then it will complain for sure. So next thing is I could just simply hit run, and now it would run. So you can see that there are 4 messages being sent from here. And by the way, since the computers are the exact replica of the same modules that we've seen there, they're sending the 4 messages at the initial stage. And now the hub switch received 4 messages, so it's sending it back, and it's also received 4 messages that it's sending that. So it's sending 4 messages for each channel 4 times. So it's sending each computer what it received, but the duplicate of everything that it received, right? So it's got some kind of multiplication going on, which is going to take a while. But I want you to look at the different aspects of this window, not just the simulation. So you have the networks here, and then you have the scheduled events here, and then you have the group contents. So you have 4 computers and 1 hub switch, and we have the fields here, and here is our simulator, our outputs or events are being outputted. So I can, usually it doesn't work on mine, but here this would be your speed, so if you wanted to run faster, it would run faster. But as you can see, it's only going about an event a second, so it's kind of slow. It's actually really slow compared to the command line. So let's stop this, and then continue. This is finished, so let's close this. And let's run this, trying to use a similar, a different symbol here, which is the command line. So the command line would run this application very fast. So if you remember that while talking to all that, we were running about 130 something. We were running 130 something events. But in this case, as you can see, we're running a huge number. This is about 2 million right now. So, and by the way, I have set the simulation time to 1 millisecond. So now it's running what would happen for 1 millisecond. This is my computer. Since my network is very rudimentary and there are a lot of things impeding the speed, 1 millisecond is actually a really long time, and for my computer, it's going to take a while to run. So as you can see, it's only 0% completed, and we have done about 6 million runs, so 7 million runs. So it's going to take a while, so we're just going to stop it for now. But as you can see, the way you simulate would that would be that way. But also, you can do, so let's just see how we can change that capacity. So you could do capacity, and you can make it equal to 5. And remember, in the other cases, when I change it in the net file, the C++ file, I would have to build it again. But in this case, I can simply, as long as I save it on the PPI file, I can simply save it and then run it. And it would run on that, on the assumption that it has 5. Of course, there's no way to tell this on this command line, but that's what you can do. So next, we're going to be seeing how to collect results, and that's going to be our last video. Thank you very much.